Good afternoon. Is this on? Can you? I mean, I really don't need it to be on because you're about 5 feet away, but is it? Yeah. We can hear it. Good. So I'm in a fancy, do you like this? Okay, first point. I had this built for me for a private party, and I use it for nonprofit clients. Leverage your resources, right there. Take my top hat off, and I don't really have anything fancy or funny or tricky that I'm going to do today, although this gives the appearance of a circus show. This is my one trick that I can do. And then I'm going to pass this to Babe Blair, and I'm going to give a brief shout out to Babe Blair because many of you don't know. Babe Blair is the Tacoma maven of fundraising. She's helped more organizations raise more money in the last 20 years, and she's one of those people that if you have in your organization, you're golden because she's a doer, a donor, and a door opener. So I'm giving it up for you, Babe Blair. Just a detail. Just a detail. So as Brian said, my name is Kevin Joyce. My company is called EnJoy Productions. I have it with my wife and partner, Martha Ensign, and we work in the private context and in the corporate context, and I think most enjoyably for me anyway, in the nonprofit galas. We probably produce entertainment, or I host, or I auctioneer for about 20 nonprofits a year. And the way that we approach things from our background, we had a theater company, and then we both worked at Teatro Zanzani as directors and performers for many years. And then we created our own company, EnJoy Productions, and we are dedicated to the creation of customized entertainment for special events. The basic premise that we bring to it is that I don't think we gather terribly well in our culture. So anytime that we can go in and help any organization for a party, for a conference, for a nonprofit to create a sense of beauty, a sense of wonder, a sense of engagement that goes way beyond the normal, then you're going to be doing yourself, your organization, and the people that create your event a great service. The basic essence of what I'm going to talk to you today about in terms of nonprofits is that every event is a performance. Every event is a show, whether you think about it that way or not. Goffman wrote a very important book, Sociological Premise, 30 years ago or so, called The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life. How many people have read it? Super. Basic essence of that is every moment we're performing. We are, whether we like it or not. We're presenting ourselves to the world. Every time we have a party, every time we hold an event, it is a show. It is a show. What I want to try to convince you guys of is from my perspective and what I've seen is that I think nonprofit events don't just have one bottom line. You may say that everything we do has to serve the fundraising. It has to be about the money. And my take, it's my bias, but my take is that there's a triple bottom line. You've got to have heard of that in the corporate context. But for me, in a nonprofit context, there's a triple bottom line, which is you raise funds, you expand your community that's involved with you, and you create a sense of aliveness and excitement. Aliveness and excitement. So that's the triple bottom line for me that justifies and brings merit to what I do. And it's not just because, boy, that makes me look more important, but that's why I like to be part of it. It's like why I like to be involved. Because every event is a performance, we bring to it a kind of philosophy that we've developed over 20 years and that we try to bring to every organization, and we try to teach every organization to think about. Events are performances. Performances work well when they combine entertainment, education, celebration, and ritual. Entertainment, education, celebration, and ritual. And I'm going to define each of those in a minute or so. But I'm going to start by saying that my purpose here, and I'm not going to take terribly long, I'm going to talk through it in about 10 or 15 minutes, unless I get super, super inspired, and the more people that leave, I'll just keep going. Half hour for an hour. Clicker, you want to give me that? I'll totally take the clicker from you.
Can you catch? Here comes catch.
Sure can. Yeah, ow! Oh, there you go. Great. 3 myths that I want to bust. The first myth that I heard early on when I worked in entertainment for nonprofits is that entertainment, it's going to distract from the silent auction, or it's going to distract from the live. Well, anecdotally, I didn't have Price Waterhouse verify this in terms of its metrics, but the last 20 events that I've done in which I've created added value content, either in the form of fun hosting or music or entertainment, they say this is the best auction we've ever had and made people excited and thrilled. It touched that bottom line, and every single one of them raised more money as well. The second myth is that, boy, we don't want to show our people that we're spending too much money or making something too fancy because we're a nonprofit. We have to look poor. We want people to come in the door and see that we don't have much money. So, terrible myth. You don't bring people over to your house and say, would you, unless you're having a potluck, you know, would you bring your own food, or come on in and would you do the dishes afterwards, you do the dishes before, or I didn't really clean up, I'm sorry, I was kind of busy, would you mind? You don't. You create the best possible impression you can. And I'm going to make the case, and it's my premise, that to the extent that you create beauty and wonder, you are telling your guests that you care about them, that this moment is important, that you're celebrating. And I'm going to talk a little bit about celebration. The third myth that I want to try to bust right now is that you're not supposed to do something fun at your event because your cause is serious. Your cause, in fact, is not only serious, it's somber. It's sober. And you know all those causes are because many of you were involved in them. But this notion of beauty and wonder and delight does not just apply to events that have an arts base or an uplifting base. They apply to every single event. Because when people come and they feel, that was the best time, I felt touched, I felt moved, it doesn't mean that you do inappropriate humor at all. But you can provide value-added entertainment and beauty and a sense of engagement that makes people feel so moved that they are then enrolled. They are part of you and they want to be part of what you do. The reason that I'm so excited about working in nonprofits is not just because of the male-female ratio, which is in abundantly evidence here, which just makes nonprofit organizations great generally, or the fact that, as you all may know, creating events, if you don't know and you're new to fundraising, they have a lot of drama in them. Major drama. That's not the kind of drama I'm talking about. Not the kind of drama. The reason is that they are the contexts that are most served by this approach to events that combines education, entertainment, celebration, and ritual. And for me, they're the events in our culture where I feel like we have the chance to make the best impact, because the sense of we don't gather terribly well. What we all do, all of us in this room, we all create events. And I think we have an incredible opportunity and an obligation to create events in which people leave feeling more alive than they came, so that they don't leave feeling, well, there was just another of a string of 64 ballroom-based, silent auction, banquet, live auction events in a row this fall that I'm going to attend. I mean, I don't know what the average is of your guests, but somewhere between 5 and 20 events they're going to attend in a fall or in the year. You want them to go away feeling not that they've been fleeced, certainly, but that they feel incredibly alive, they feel enrolled, and they think, I want to go to that event next year. That was the funnest thing I've ever done. Even if it's the most serious and sober cause in the world that you work for. Notes, I'm just going to go through them. You guys don't need to read these. Triple bottom line, did that one already. Myth busting, did that one, good. Every event is a performance. Oh yeah, every event is a performance. Why is every event a performance? Because you spend months scripting it. You have producers. There is a set. You have props. There's lighting and sound. Normally not terribly good lighting and sound. You have speakers. You have a director. Maybe you have a concept of the direction because you need to work on the entrances and exits because, gosh, that makes a whole lot of importance. I don't know if you know this, if we've noticed this in a show, but if there's a 2-second delay before someone says their line, there's something's been wrong. And so if you don't structure your events with an attention to the entrances and exits, how transitions are made, what the energy is, and how people arrive. So the reason my partner Martha was dressed as the bellhop when you arrived, and I was dressed as this, was to give an example of what it means to touch people upon their arrival so that they enter an event and they don't think, yep, another ballroom, silent auction, live auction, banquet. They come in and they think, and I'm not saying you have to do it like this with a top hat that you squish and hand to Babe Lair, although you could. It would be weird to have every event work that way, but you could. I'm saying you touch them in some way so that when they arrive they feel, this is cool. This is interesting. This is different. They come in the door, and the rest of the event can be attended to super carefully in the same way that you would attend to a theatrical production. Maybe you don't have a tremendous amount of experience in that, but this is another thing that you can harness local resources of people who do, who think that way, who plan it that way. I'm going to go a little bit to the end of my talk here now, because the other reason that a theatrical metaphor is relevant is because if you're ever in a show when you were in 8th grade and you did your last performance and the curtain went down, everyone screamed and cried and hugged each other and was so excited about the experience. If you approach your event as a show over the time that you're doing it and realize the excitement of entertainment and a show, you're less likely to have all your event organizers end feeling like they want a cigarette even though they don't smoke, drinks even though they don't drink, and they want to sleep for 2 weeks, and they don't want to talk to anybody for 4. Too many event organizers don't take an approach to their creation process that is full of life, full of a sense of art, full of a sense of engagement, and full of a sense of like we are giving the gift of a show and a performance to these folks. So it's sort of a philosophical issue that if you attend to how people are greeted, if you attend to how they are informed of their content over the course of the evening, how they are led through the evening, how they are treated and engaged, how they are respected, then those are the ways that you create an event with a theatrical approach. So most events do a great job at decor because they have people on the organizing committee who love doing decor, they're good at it, or they tap that person who's like, she's awesome, or he's awesome, let's do that. They get them in there, they work hard at it, and they do decor. From a theatrical standpoint, that's called set decorating. That's called set decorating. It's important, but if you leave it just at that, then it's like, well, this is pretty. No one greeted me when I came in. Well, there's nothing really else going on. Someone may make an announcement about silent auction closing time for dinner, speakers. What I'm saying is attend to the whole arc. Attend to the whole arc of the event, which means lighting is important. I'm going to go through and just show you a couple of photos. Many of these are sort of within the cabaret, variety, vaudeville, even burlesque realms, but they relate to the type of work. This was at an auction where we had Martha on a trapeze announcing things, indicating things. You can use performance art as a metaphor. You know, reach to the skies, it's all within reach, or it's all, you know, within a hoop, your safety, you have to take risks, but you have to have a mat below you. You can use performance, and we often do this in corporate context where we describe content by performing arts. Characters who are there, this was a football theme, obviously. Another fundraising event at Belle Harbor. A fundraising event last year in Tacoma. It had a Moulin Rouge theme. This is Carmen Miranda. She's in real life not nearly that blurry. Adorned, again, this is the sense of these kind of being very fantastical and theatrical. This is a Cuban hand balancer named Ricardo Sosa, one of the finest in the world. And this is an example, you can't afford Ricardo Sosa. No one, I can't anywhere, and he's performing in Germany. But the example is that you use beauty and wonder and awe. George Bernard Shaw or Oscar Wilde said, if you want to communicate someone, make them laugh and then shove the truth down their throat while their mouth is open. Now, I'm not suggesting that, but the point is about entertainment and about education at auctions is that if you create awe, wonder, and pathos, people are opened. Their hearts are opened. Their sense of engagement is opened, and I think by extension, their wallet is likely to be more opened as well. Kind of hip-hop dancers as well create a great deal of energy. These are just people that we've worked, ethnic arts and performance. And I'm going to stay on this picture for a moment because the guy is just so smoking good looking. I meant that to be another jacket, but it is in fact the jacket that I'm wearing. So treat it like a production because at the end it'll be a celebration. So there's a couple other metaphors about performance that are really, really relevant. One is the notion of improvisation. Your event will not go as planned. Something will come up. Something will come up. I did 3 events in the last week that I'm going to describe as case studies. Each of them had something kind of hellacious that happened at the last minute. Approach it to whatever extent possible with an attitude of improvisation. That's part of the joy factor if you can harness it. You know, I don't know if there were a magic pill or a magic something to give to event creators where it's the don't freak out pill. Because everyone does. We've all taken, exactly. We'll give you the double dose. You need a prescription for the double dose. And that goes for auction committees and gala chairs as well as the development staff. Something that can inculcate in the process a sense of joy, a sense of being involved in a project that has a show quality to it, it really helps. That's the metaphor that I'm trying to give you. So this quality of improvising is terribly important, and I'm going to give you 3 examples now in the last week that I've worked on, and that's how I'm going to conclude. Friday night, I did the College Success Foundation. Worked with the College Success Foundation. They were at the convention center. Huge, huge space. So what we did with the organization that I was working with is we attended really, really well to the lighting and sound. It's a great space that allows for that, but we had gorgeous lighting. We decided to stage it with a center stage, a stage to the right hand of the room, a stage to the left hand of the room, so that the sense of how the place moved around kept everyone engaged. We also incorporated student performers, kids who had been successful from the College Success Foundation and were also nearly professional performing artists, and they dialed in a really, really great performance that incorporated content from the organization at the end, and it was just like, wow, this is exciting. There was also an important sense of ritual. They honored 3 people, and they conducted that ritual in a very serious manner. So I'm going to go really quickly through this notion before I do my other 2 examples of education, entertainment, celebration, and ritual. Education, events are not just for the members of the tribe. I don't know what your percentage of event attendees are that actually have had no exposure to your organization, but it's pretty high. So your obligation when they're there is to give them sufficient content to make them feel like they own the organization, just enough. So you have an educational component there. You have a celebration component there because from my standpoint, you don't do well by inviting people to be part of an organization that is failing. Even if your cause or your problem is very serious, you want to tell the people that are at your organization you're celebrating its success. So you have a sense of momentum. People want to join something that is robustly successful, even though the problem that they're serving is very serious or very somber. They don't want to have you say to them through your event or through your content that we're really not making it, we're falling behind. You want to say, we have succeeded, we're doing great, and we will do even better, and we will continue to have momentum as you join us. So that's the celebration part, which is obviously aided by entertainment that is joyous. The third part is ritual. What I mean by ritual is not a spiritual or religious ritual, but the generic sense of ritual, which is a set, prescribed series of actions that leads to a particular aim, that celebrates a particular community of people and reaffirms certain values. So an event is a ritual. Attend to it with that degree of seriousness, I think, and will be much more successful. And the final thing is entertainment. And the entertainment, I'm hoping to make the convincing case that it does not distract from your auction. It adds a tremendous amount of value. It does not run the risk of showing that you've put too much money or energy into it. The guests, believe me, they appreciate it. They all love it when they go to something that is beautiful and well produced. And it doesn't mean you have to spend an arm and a leg on it. You just have to attend to it with care. And the third thing is that you're not supposed to do anything fun because your cause is somber. Well, I think that sort of speaks for itself, rather. The second event I did on Sunday night was at Teatro Zinzani. It was for a camp. So this is a context where it's a theater. You walk in there and it's like, oh my gosh, what an amazing place. So you had the benefit of tremendous production values, and we had a show all night long. That helped a lot. When we did the Ask, we had some kids perform. We had a very engaging kind of context to talk to the audience to. That was inherently exciting. Oh, the projector didn't work in the middle. We had to improvise. We had to figure it out in the moment. We had to have a plan B. So the improvisational component for you guys is make contingencies. Plan Bs. Have people waiting in the wings. Make sure your technical stuff has contingencies. It's complex, but it can be done. It can be done. The thing that had to be fixed for the College Success Foundation, they didn't have someone turn up at the last moment, so we had to replace a speaker, but we had a contingency in plan. The final event I'm going to use as an example is this coming Saturday night in Tacoma for St. Joseph's Hospital. Their theme is passion. They're funding the critical care unit. And so they connected a theme. Now, Andrea was talking earlier about a Gaga theme or a couple of other themes that she mentioned, and most organizations create themes for their events, but the point is not just to create a theme and adorn the room like a theme, but to try to infuse the entire experience with the sense of entering into a world that has been carefully crafted. So their theme is passion, so we're creating 3 pieces of entertainment or performance during dinner that speak to that passion. We have a torch singer, simple piano. We have tango dancers, beautiful dancers on the floor. We're going to film them and see them. And we have a gospel group. None of those were tremendously expensive. All of them were dialed into the very specific thing about this show and the purpose of adding a quality of value that will make people feel, wow. So I'm going to end with just the simple notion that to the extent that we create shows, we conceive of what we're doing as a show and as a performance, it becomes a gift to the community that we're doing it for. And to the extent that we can do it with aplomb and with joy, then people leave, including the organizers and the event chairs and the volunteers, feeling more alive rather than less, which ultimately I think is our greatest charge. Thank you and good night.